11 Causes of a relationship's lack of trust. Trust helps you develop a firm foundation together as you get closer in your relationship. When you or your spouse has trust issues, it might prevent you from reaching your full potential as a pair. While every couple is different, there are a few typical causes for a lack of trust in your relationship. We'll go over the possible causes of lost trust so you can spot and work through the problems with your relationship. 1. Romantic jealousy. You should not trust your spouse if you suspect they are attracted to someone else. Worrying that your spouse would just stay till the next best thing comes along may wreak havoc with your mind. Physical jealousy, such as wishing your spouse didn't spend time with other people, or behavioral jealousy, such as snooping through your partner's stuff for proof, are both possible. This form of envy arises from past relationships or apprehensions about your current connection. Take a moment to think about what behaviors make you feel jealous and how they make you feel. Rather than blaming your partner, engage in some positive self-talk to make you feel more safe. If your partner's actions continue to irritate you, sit down and speak about what's bothering you. Pay attention to what they say to assist you overcome your worries. 2. Attachment anxiety. People with nervous attachment styles have a hard time trusting others. If you have attachment anxiety, you have a poor perception of yourself but a favorable perception of others. You may be concerned that you won't be able to rely on others since you're terrified of being rejected. When your partner's signs are imprecise, you may misinterpret them as threatening or disastrous. When your nervous thoughts take over, say something like, "What I did wasn't that horrible," or "I've apologized and I can't do anything else." Then, to take your mind off the matter, engage in a pleasurable pastime or hobby. If possible, seek the support of a therapist to help you overcome your worried thoughts. 3. Infidelity. It might be tough to regain trust after catching your partner cheating. When you or your spouse is unfaithful, it causes the other person to doubt the partnership as a whole. If they've been in past relationships that ended in infidelity, it might make you feel much worse. While adultery is something you can work through, rebuilding your relationship will involve open communication, patience, and honesty. Take the time you need to grieve after learning that your partner had an affair before making any hasty decisions. If you were unfaithful, apologize if you made a mistake and terminate the affair right away to regain confidence. 4. Fear of vulnerability. You could be terrified of being rejected if you open out. It might be difficult to trust your spouse with your feelings when you first start dating. You should feel comfortable having an open and honest dialogue with your spouse about any concerns that arise. If you're afraid to share personal information or discuss your actual feelings, it might be an indication that you're avoiding vulnerability. If you're frightened of being physically vulnerable in a relationship, this might also suggest you're terrified of putting yourself in danger. To feel more at ease in the future, practice being vulnerable with your spouse. Say what you want, don't be afraid to express your emotions, and ask for what you want to be happy. 5. Fear of losing control. Giving up control might be difficult if you are used to taking care of yourself. It might be difficult to shift into a balanced partnership when you're used to doing everything on your own. You won't trust your spouse to do things for you if you don't want to give up control. It might also lead to situations. Remind yourself that even if you have complete control, you can't make everything go perfectly. Be open to accept failure as a valuable learning experience. If you detect it in your relationship, take little measures toward giving up. You might begin by letting your partner handle little household activities without interfering. You can release the restrictions on greater chores as you gain experience. 6. Lack of reliability. It's difficult to trust folks who don't follow through on their promises. When someone frequently promises to do something and then fails to follow through, it might make you wonder who you can trust. Healthy relationships are built on confidence that your spouse can balance their priorities and follow through on their commitments. If someone has had a history of untrustworthy relationships, they may find it difficult to trust new people. When you ask your spouse to do anything for you, be clear about what you need and expect. They can work on resolving the problem if you express yourself properly and tell them how you feel. 7. Expectations that are unrealistic. When you hold your spouse to such high standards, they will betray your confidence. You may have greater expectations based on your upbringing and previous relationships, but they may be out of reach for your spouse. Even if you don't share your expectations, presuming your spouse is aware of them sets them up for failure. When you or your spouse fails to meet the other's expectations, it might impair how comfortable you are in the relationship. Directly tell your spouse what you anticipate from them so they may better comprehend what you require from the relationship. Consider what you'd say to a close friend or family member who shared your values. When you're talking to other people, you're typically more sensible and practical, so pay attention to whatever counsel you provide. 8. Social rejection. Others may have shut you out, leaving you feeling betrayed. You are afraid of gaining trust in the future if you have been deceived or rejected in a past relationship or acquaintance. You could be attempting to protect yourself from other people driving you out of their life, or you might be putting all of your faith in your relationship. If you had a major fallout, especially if you had a close connection, you'll likely have more serious trust difficulties. You may be taking rejection too personally, so think about what happened and how you reacted. If you were rejected in a job interview, for example, it wasn't because of you. It's simply because they identified a candidate who better meets their requirements. Form close bonds with the folks who genuinely care about and accept you. If your companion is kind and loving, develop that relationship so you don't have to go with the same rejection again. 9. Your partner's past relationships. If your spouse has a history of unsuccessful relationships, you may be wary. If you know your spouse has had several relationships that have all ended tragically, you might be hesitant to open up and trust them. Even if your partner has changed, you may still have a nagging suspicion in the back of your mind that might develop into a more severe problem as the relationship progresses. Instead of dwelling on the past, try to concentrate on the current and future aspects of your relationship in order to strengthen it. 10. Childhood neglect or trauma. As a child, feeling unsafe or uneasy has an impact on how you regard trust. Based on how you were raised, you learn how to act and treat others. You may have a hard time opening up or trusting other people in intimate relationships if the person who raised you doesn't provide for you or assist you navigate through life because you weren't provided sufficient care. Every day, take modest chances to help you make judgments and gain confidence in yourself. Setting limits with others and saying no might help you feel more satisfied if you're overly trusting of people. 11. Previous abuse in a relationship. You may become less trusting as a result of physical or emotional abuse. Even if your present relationship is going well, previous abusive relationships may have influenced your current behavior. If your spouse uses violence, verbally threatens or makes continual fun of you, or makes you feel afraid at any moment, your relationship may be abusive. Abuse is a horrific experience that alters your perception of others and can make romantic relationships more difficult. Stop blaming yourself for what occurred if you were in an abusive relationship and reconsider what you consider to be a normal relationship. If you're having problems overcoming abuse on your own, get professional help from a therapist. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe, and please give a thumb if you like the video.